So it was a Thursday afternoon in the spring, 1987, and I walked into my office, and there was a little light flashing on the answering machine, and this was the kind with tape, if you remember those. And I pressed the button. And this voice says, "Hi, my name is Don Runkle. I'm the chief engineer of General Motors. Would you please give me a call?" To give you an idea of how unlikely that call was, I had been working in a management job that I hated. The only part of the job through the year I liked was when we would sort of make up new marketing materials and stuff, and that was fun, doing something creative. But everything else about it I just hated, and I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And I knew that what I did want to do, because I thought I was pretty good at it, was write. And I got a lot of help from the company because we had grown so fast. We were on the Inc. 500, and they started cutting executive salaries. And finally, after the second salary cut, we got to the point where I realized that this was really safe now. I could make this jump because there was no way I couldn't make that little money as a freelance writer. So I took the jump. And it was a lot harder than I thought. It was tough. And month after month, for about 6 months, I was just barely making things meet. And then this phone call. And I thought, what could this be coming from? General Motors calling me. Well, it turned out that I had been also trying to get work writing for car magazines. And I had written for Road and Track, and I kept getting rejections from them. Then one day they published a little article that said, "What's wrong with the brand of General Motors and Chevrolet? How did Chevrolet lose its brand?" And they sort of gave their ideas and said, "We'd really love to know what readers think. So if you've got an idea on this, please send us a note." And I thought, well, look, I'm not going to send you a letter to the editor. I'm going to write an article that's so great you have to publish it. And I wrote this article on how Chevrolet lost its mojo and sent it off. And I didn't hear anything. I didn't even get a rejection letter from them. And then comes this call from General Motors. So I dial the number back. And Don Runkle says, "Hi, I'm the chief engineer, and Road and Track sent us this article that you wrote. We've all read it. We just want to know, who the hell are you? We've been trying to articulate this about our brand for a decade, and we just want to know where you are, who you are." So I explained who I was and where I lived and what I did. And he said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, I don't know why these words came into my head, but I said, "I'm a speechwriter." And he said, "Well, I need speeches written." And the next week, I was on a plane to Detroit, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And that opportunity came, I was able to grab it because at that time in my life, I really knew what I wanted. And I knew what I wanted because at that moment, I really knew myself. And I'd made some big decisions, and I was able to grasp at that. But through our lives, knowing yourself is not that easy a thing to do. We change because we grow. People around us change. New situations, the times change, and we have to learn to know ourselves in each of those moments. Know thyself was written over the door of the Temple of Delphi, where kings and queens would climb up the mountain to get their questions answered. The problem was the answers they got back were cryptic, they were riddles, and they had no idea what they meant. Had they known themselves better, they might have understood the answers, or even more important, they might have known the question to ask the real question and how to ask the right question. And it's not like the priestesses of the temple made it hard for them. They put the temple way up on top of this mountain. So you had to climb for days to get up to it. A lot of time to pause and catch your breath and look out over the vista. And then when you got to the top, you could see forever. And what are you supposed to do when you're on the mountaintop? You're supposed to have a vision of things that are far away that you can see in a new way. And then finally, as you walked into the door, it said right there, "Know thyself." And if you really knew yourself at that moment, you wouldn't have to answer the question. So let me give you a life hack. A life hack is an app for your human operating system, something that will actually change the way your brain works if you do it daily. So here's what it is. It's 2 questions. Who am I being, and what do I want? Who am I being, and what do I want? And the language is very, very specific. Who am I being? Not who should I be, who do I wish I was, what would I like to be? No, right now, in this moment, who are you being? Are you angry? Are you pissed off? Are you relaxed? Are you centered? Are you in a meditative alpha state? Or are you nervous and fearful and you hate yourself? It doesn't matter. Don't judge it. Just who am I being? Then, what do I want? Well, I want to not be in self-loathing, or I want to feel really great about myself, or I want to help these people, or I want to move from here to there. It doesn't matter. Do this every time you walk through a doorway. Do it when you get up in the morning. Do it every time your day transitions. You're pulling into the garage at work. Who am I being? What do I want? Find out and really practice that so that you're really getting where you want to go. Because if you know who you're being, then you can change it. And if you know what you want, then you can go get it. Thank you.